sometimes being a father, being a husband that means lost a job.
Lovely viewers, brace yourselves, because what we're about to dive into feels like the kind of twist no one saw coming. Imagine waking up one morning and seeing headlines across social media screaming, "Explosive audio leak! Song Joong begs song Hye Kyo for second chance." At first, you'd probably think it was clickbait, right? Just another rumor in the endless cycle of celebrity gossip. But this time, the buzz has reached a fever pitch because the supposed audio leak is spreading fast, with fans analyzing every second, every tone, every sigh, claiming it's proof that Joong still hasn't let go of his feelings for song Hye Kyo. Lovely viewers, let's take a step into this firestorm together. According to those who claim to have heard the audio, the man's voice, allegedly Joong sounds emotional, raw, even desperate, as he pleads for another chance with the woman he once called his wife. Phrases like "I still love you" and "we deserve to try again" are being repeated by fans across platforms. Some swear the recording is real, pointing to similarities in tone, pitch, and speaking style. Others dismiss it as an AI deepfake or clever editing designed to stir up drama. But here's the question that's haunting everyone. What if it's genuine? What if Joong really did reach out to Hye Kyo, asking her to revisit the love story that once captivated the world? Now imagine how song Hye Kyo might be processing this, lovely viewers. Whether the audio is authentic or not, her name is once again being tied back to her past in ways she didn't ask for. Some fans say if the leak is real, it must be incredibly uncomfortable for her to have such a private, emotional plea dragged into the public spotlight. Others argue that if it's fake, she has every right to feel outraged at the invasion of her privacy and the manipulation of her image. Can you see how either way, Hye Kyo ends up in the center of a storm she never asked for? And then there's Lee Min-ho, her current love, the man who fans see as her present and her future. Imagine him hearing this so-called audio leak spreading online. Would he brush it off, confident in his relationship with Hye Kyo? Or would he feel that familiar sting of insecurity, knowing that the world is once again bringing Joong into their story? Fans are already speculating that this might test the bond between Min-ho and Hye Kyo like never before. Some even suggest that Min-ho could be pressured into making a public gesture of love, perhaps posting something heartfelt or appearing with Hye Kyo at an event, just to silence the whispers. Lovely viewers, doesn't this feel like the kind of tangled plot you'd see in a K-drama? The ex-lover returning with heartfelt pleas, the current partner battling insecurity, the woman caught in the middle, and millions of fans watching and choosing sides. It's almost surreal that we're discussing it as if it's real life. But that's the power of these stars. They live lives so dramatic that every twist feels scripted, even when it's not. Now let's shift the focus to the fans, because they are playing a massive role in shaping this narrative. On one side, you have shippers of the old Song couple, who are absolutely thrilled by the leak. To them, this is a dream come true. A sign that Joong still longs for Hye Kyo, that maybe, just maybe, fate could bring them back together. They're flooding comment sections with posts like, "True love never dies," and "This is the moment we've been waiting for." On the other side, supporters of Lee Min-ho and Hye Kyo are furious. They see the leak as an invasion, a cruel attempt to destabilize a happy relationship. They're calling out the media for amplifying it and urging Hye Kyo to stay strong. And in the middle, there are those who simply feel pity. Pity for Joong if the leak is true, pity for Hye Kyo who can't escape her past, and pity for Min-ho who has to endure the comparisons yet again. But here's the million-dollar question. Is the audio real? Some tech-savvy fans claim to have analyzed the file, saying the voice patterns match Joong public interviews. Others argue it has signs of digital manipulation, pointing to uneven background noise and suspicious audio cuts. We live in a world where AI-generated voices can mimic anyone almost perfectly, so it's hard to know for sure. This uncertainty is exactly why the leak is so explosive. It blurs the line between reality and fabrication, keeping everyone on edge. Now let's imagine the possible scenarios going forward. If Joong team denies the audio, calling it fake, will people believe them? Or will skeptics say they're just doing damage control? On the flip side, if Joong admits it's real, that would be a bombshell. An open acknowledgement that he still longs for a second chance with Hye Kyo. But what would that mean for her? Would she feel pressured to respond, either to reject his plea firmly or to open the door to speculation about reconciliation? And where would that leave Min-ho? Can you picture the chaos of all three names dominating every headline, every conversation, every fan debate? Lovely viewers, this isn't just gossip. It's an emotional battlefield. It forces us to think about questions bigger than celebrity drama. Can love truly be rekindled after heartbreak? Can two people who went through a very public divorce ever find their way back without reopening old wounds? And if someone has already moved on, is it fair or selfish for an ex to come back begging for another chance? Here's where I want to bring you in directly. If you were Song Hye Kyo and you heard your ex pleading for a second chance, would you even consider it? Or would you see it as a distraction from the life and love you've built now? Fans are divided, and their answers say a lot about how people view forgiveness, loyalty, and the pull of first love. Some say you should always move forward, never backward. Others believe that if the love was once real, it deserves another shot, no matter the risks. Which side do you find yourself on, lovely viewers? One thing is certain. This alleged audio leak has reignited a fire that many thought had long burned out. It has pulled Joong, Hye Kyo, and Min-ho into a new chapter of public fascination, one filled with questions, emotions, and speculation. And while no one knows whether the leak is real or fake, what we do know is that it has already changed the conversation around these stars. For now, the world waits. Will Joong or his team address it? Will Hye Kyo speak out? Will Min-ho step up with a grand gesture? Or will all three choose silence, letting fans argue and imagine their own endings? Lovely viewers, this story is far from over. Just like in the dramas we love, the cliffhanger is here, leaving us wondering what twist will come next. Until then, we're left with the voices in our heads, whether real or fabricated, echoing with a plea that feels both heartbreaking and unforgettable. Give me a second chance. Can you feel the weight of that? A man who once stood side by side with Song Hye Kyo at the altar, who shared vows in a love story celebrated by millions, allegedly reaching out again years later with a voice filled with longing. It's the kind of twist that pulls everyone in, whether they believe in second chances or not. But here's where it gets even more gripping, lovely viewers. People aren't just replaying the supposed audio for Joong words. They're analyzing the silence, the breath, the pauses between sentences. Fans are saying those silences sound heavy, as though he was choking back tears, as though every word cost him more courage than he could muster. Isn't it fascinating how, even without confirmation, people project their own emotions into what they hear, creating stories that feel almost real enough to touch? And then, imagine Song Hye Kyo somewhere out there, possibly listening to this leak for herself. How would she feel, lovely viewers? Would her heart ache at the sound of familiar words, reminders of a love that once defined her life? Or would she feel nothing but exhaustion, tired of the past being dragged into her present? Some fans argue that if Joong truly did plead for another chance, it might stir emotions she thought were long buried. Others believe she has moved so far forward that nothing, not even this, could shake her resolve to stay focused on her current path, her career, and perhaps her love with Lee Min-ho. And speaking of Lee Min-ho, we can't ignore the massive elephant in the room. His name is being dragged into this narrative whether he wants it or not. Fans are already speculating. What was his reaction when he heard about the audio leak? Did he stay calm, quietly supportive of Hye Kyo, trusting her completely? Or did he feel that pang of unease, that flash of jealousy, knowing the whole world was listening to her ex allegedly pour his heart out? These are very human emotions, aren't they, lovely viewers? Even the strongest, most confident partner can feel shaken when the past comes knocking in such a loud, public way. The entertainment world is now split, too. Some insiders say this could spark a new wave of attention for all three stars, boosting their visibility in ways that no drama could ever script. But others warn that it could be damaging, too messy, too invasive, too raw. For brands and producers who prize stability, even whispers of emotional chaos can cause hesitation. Isn't it ironic, though, that the same thing which could hurt them professionally is also the very thing keeping fans hooked? Lovely viewers, let's bring this closer to you. Imagine for a moment that you're in Hye Kyo's shoes. Someone from your past, the person you once loved deeply, suddenly reaches out, begging for another chance. At the same time, you're in a new relationship with someone who loves and supports you. Do you feel pulled backward by memories? Or do you hold tightly to the present? Fans are debating this endlessly online. Some say the first love always has a special place in the heart, while others insist that once a chapter is closed, it's better left behind. What do you think? If it were you, would you be tempted to listen to the plea? Or would you walk away without looking back? And let's not forget another possibility. What if the audio isn't real at all? What if this is a cruel fabrication, designed to stir chaos and force emotional reactions from people who care about these stars? If that's the case, then the real tragedy isn't Joong-ki's plea. It's the way falsehood can wound real people, making them relive old heartbreaks they never asked to revisit. This is why so many fans are calling for caution, urging everyone not to jump to conclusions until the truth is confirmed. But whether real or fake, the leak has already done its work. It has reignited one of the most powerful questions in the world of love stories. Can two people who once loved each other, and then lost it all, ever truly find their way back? For Joong-ki, the alleged plea suggests that he thinks they can. For Hye Kyo, her silence so far suggests that the answer may not be so simple. And for Lee Min-ho, the man standing by her side now, it's a challenge unlike any other. A test of his strength, his trust, and his patience. Lovely viewers, as we sit here watching this saga unfold, doesn't it feel like we're waiting for the next episode of a drama that hasn't been written yet? Will Joong-ki confirm or deny the audio? Will Hye Kyo address it with grace, or remain silent? Will Min-ho step up with a bold gesture to reassure her and the world that their love is unshakable? The suspense is real, and the world is watching, waiting, and whispering. The alleged audio of Song Joong-ki pleading for a second chance is not just an isolated scandal anymore. It has become a cultural phenomenon, with fans dissecting it frame by frame, second by second, as though it were a hidden track in a K-drama OST. Whole online communities are debating whether the tremor in his voice was genuine or manufactured, whether the background noise in the clip hints at a private home or a public cafe, and whether the words he used line up with his public persona. Isn't it fascinating, lovely viewers, how fans become detectives when their emotions are on the line? But the bigger story is what this does to Song Hye Kyo herself. She's been through so much in the public eye, from her meteoric rise as a beloved actress to her highly publicized marriage and divorce with Joong-ki, and now to her rumored blossoming romance with Lee Min-ho. And yet, here she is again, pulled back into the shadows of her past. Fans are torn. Some want her to respond firmly and shut the speculation down, while others say her silence is her power. But imagine the weight on her shoulders, lovely viewers. Every move she makes now will be scrutinized, every word measured against the leak. If she smiles too brightly at an event, fans might say she's unaffected. If she looks too serious, they'll say she's conflicted. She can't win, and that's the heartbreaking reality of fame. Now let's turn to Lee Min-ho. The world sees him as the knight in shining armor in this modern fairy tale, the man who finally gave Hye Kyo the happiness she deserves. But behind the glitz and glamour, how might he truly feel about this storm? Imagine hearing your partner's ex allegedly pouring out his heart in a recording that millions are now discussing. Even the most secure man would feel the sting of comparison, wouldn't he? Some fans believe Min-ho will rise above it, perhaps by showing public support for Hye Kyo with a loving gesture or a reassuring statement. Others think he might retreat, giving her space, but at the risk of appearing distant. Which would you do, lovely viewers? Hold tighter or step back when the past comes knocking so loudly? And then there's Joong-ki himself. If this audio is real, it paints a picture of a man haunted by regret, a man unable to fully move on from the woman he once loved so openly. If it's fake, then he becomes the victim of a cruel trick, forced to relive his past heartbreak in front of the world yet again. Either way, his name is once more at the center of speculation he likely never asked for. Some fans say this leak is proof of his vulnerability, of his humanity, of the fact that even stars can make mistakes and yearn for what they've lost. Others argue that it's selfish, that if he truly cared for Hye Kyo's happiness, he wouldn't drag her back into the spotlight like this, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Lovely viewers, let's imagine for a moment what might happen if the three of them, Joong, Hye Kyo and Min Ho, were to cross paths in public now, perhaps at a star-studded event or award show. Can you picture the electricity in the air? The cameras would flash endlessly, fans would hold their breath, and every glance, every smile, every flicker of emotion would be dissected as evidence of love, jealousy, or lingering feelings. Isn't it extraordinary how much power a single moment can hold when the whole world is watching? Now, fans aren't just waiting for official statements, they're creating their own narratives. Some are writing long posts and fanfiction-style threads, imagining Hye Kyo listening to the audio alone at night, tears in her eyes as she remembers the love they once shared. Others are painting a different picture. Hye Kyo turning off her phone, smiling at Min Ho, and choosing to ignore the noise because she has already built a new life. These imagined stories show just how invested people are, not only in the celebrities but in the idea of love itself. And this is where it gets truly interactive, lovely viewers, because I want to bring you directly into the heart of this debate. If you believe the audio is real, do you think it's right for someone to ask for a second chance after so much time has passed and after so much has been said and done? Or do you think the past should remain in the past, no matter how deep the regret? And if you believe the audio is fake, what does it say about us as fans and as a society that we're so quick to believe in recycled love stories, even at the cost of someone's privacy? The entertainment industry is also weighing in quietly. Insiders are whispering that this controversy could influence casting decisions. Some directors are reportedly excited by the surge of attention, seeing it as an opportunity to capitalize on the star's newfound relevance. Others, however, are worried about the baggage. Will audiences be able to separate the on-screen characters from the real-life drama? Isn't it strange, lovely viewers, how art and reality become so blurred when it comes to stars like these? And let's not forget the international audience. Fans across Asia, Europe, and beyond are watching closely, each interpreting the story through their own cultural lens. In some places, the idea of rekindling a lost love is celebrated as destiny. In others, it's frowned upon as weakness or indecision. This global perspective adds another layer, showing how universal themes of love, regret, and trust resonate differently around the world. Lovely viewers, as we stretch this story further, I want you to imagine the possible endings to this saga. One ending could see Joong stepping forward, confirming the audio and publicly declaring his wish for reconciliation. This would ignite a firestorm, forcing Hye Kyo to respond and putting Min Ho in an impossible position. Another ending could see Joong's team denying it completely, calling it fake, and shifting the focus back to his current projects. Yet another ending could involve silence. No confirmations, no denials, just an uneasy quiet that leaves fans to speculate forever. Which ending do you feel is most likely? But perhaps the most important lesson here is not about Joong, Hye Kyo, or Min Ho at all. Perhaps it's about us, lovely viewers, the way we project our hopes, our fears, and our desires onto the lives of celebrities. This audio leak, real or fake, is powerful not just because of the names attached to it, but because it forces us to confront our own questions about love, second chances, and moving on. That's why we care so deeply, because in their stories we see fragments of our own. So, as we wait for the truth to surface, let's hold on to the thought that love, in all its forms, is complicated, messy, and beautiful. Whether this audio is the sound of a man begging for one more chance or the echo of a clever fabrication, it has already reminded us that the heart never forgets, and the past never disappears as neatly as we wish. And until the next twist reveals itself, lovely viewers, we're left here, united in curiosity, our hearts beating a little faster, wondering, if given the chance, would you go back to the one who once held your heart, or would you keep walking forward, no matter how loud the echoes behind you?